Hi everyone, welcome to Numeric Learning and welcome to day 38 of Do Math with me. So here we will be solving questions from various chapters and we have already covered three different chapters, that is the first three chapters of your class 10th mathematics, and the fourth chapter that we are doing is actually eighth chapter of your according to your syllabus, which is Introduction to Trigonometry. So we will be doing 7 different questions today. All the 7 are very important. Let's get started. Okay, the first question is, find the value of sine square theta plus 1 by 1 plus tan square theta. Now here there are certain identities that you should know. The very first identity that you should know is nothing but sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Okay, this is one thing which you have to remember. So in that case, if you are asked to calculate or convert sine to cos, you can write sine square theta equal to 1 minus cos square theta. Or if you are asked to convert cos in terms of sine, you can write cos square theta equal to 1 minus sine square theta. This is one of the identity which you should remember. The other identity is nothing but secant square theta is nothing but 1 plus tan square theta. This is another identity. So in case if you are asked secant in terms of tan or tan in terms of secant, you should be able to write the same, right? And the next one is cosecant square of theta is equal to 1 plus cot square theta. So in case if you have to convert cosecant to cot or cot to cosecant, then these are the different identities which will be helpful. Okay, so cosecant square theta is equal to 1 plus cot square theta, or cosecant square theta minus cot square theta is equal to 1, right? Either ways you can write it. So this is something which you should remember. Okay, these are very important set of identities which will help you write any one of the trigonometric ratio in terms of the other. Now in our case, okay, you are given sine square theta and 1 by 1 plus, what is 1 plus tan square theta? 1 plus tan square theta is equal to secant square theta, right? So you should also know how they are reciprocally related to each other. So for example, 1 by sine is nothing but cosecant. Okay, cosecant theta. Okay, if you are asked 1 over cos, it is secant, right? 1 over secant, they are reciprocal to each other. 1 over secant is cos, 1 over cosecant is sine. Similarly, 1 over tan is nothing but cot and 1 over cot is tan. So these are reciprocally related to each other. So from our given question, sine square theta plus 1 by, what is 1 plus tan square theta? It is secant square theta. So I can write 1 by secant square theta. And what is 1 by secant square theta? 1 by secant square is nothing but cos square theta. Okay, so this is nothing but sine square theta plus cos square theta. And what is sine square theta plus cos square theta? It is nothing but it's 1. So the answer is 1. So if you know these identities, then finding the values of such trigonometric expressions or functions are very easy. Okay, so these are specifically mainly dependent on the identities. You have to be very thorough with the identities and how any one of the trigonometric ratio can be expressed in terms of the other, right? So this was your first question. I hope you understood. Just convert tan to secant and then secant to cos. 1 by secant is cos. Sine square plus cos square is equal to 1. Okay, so very easy question. I hope you understood. Let's move on to the second one. So you have to prove that the left hand side is equal to your right hand side. Okay, left hand side you have cot A minus cos A divided by cot A plus cos A is equal to cosecant A minus 1 divided by cosecant A plus 1. Okay, so here let's take your LHS. What is cot? Again, let me also write what is tan and cot. Okay, quotient relation. Tan theta is equal to sine by cos. Okay, this is also something which you have to remember. And what is cot theta? It's the reciprocal of tan. So it is cos by sine. Okay, these are also things which you have to remember. So now, what is cot A? Cot is nothing but cos by sine. Okay, so cos A by sine A. I'm just taking the LHS. Okay. Minus cos A. Let me write it as it is. I'm just converting everything into sine and cos. Okay. Minus cos A whole divided by denominator. It's again cot A, which is cos A by sine A plus cos A. Okay. Now you have to you should not take the LCM here, right? Because if you take the LCM here, that is sine as an LCM, what will happen? The first term will be cos A minus the next term will be sine A cos A. Okay, and the denominator will also be sine A plus sine A cos A, sine A, but we don't need a sine A in the numerator. Look at the expression that we have to reach, right? This is the identity that we have to prove finally. So you need a minus 1 and a plus 1. So what you can do is if you take cos A common out, you will get a minus 1 here. Let's take cos A common out. Okay, when you take cos A common, what will be left is 1 over sine A minus 1. Okay, whole divided by, again you can take cos A common out. So what is left is 1 over sine A plus 1. Can you see a minus 1 and plus 1 here? Yes, so we have got. And what is cosecant? Cosecant is nothing but 1 over sine. So we have almost reached what we wanted, right? So 1 over sine is cosecant of A minus 1 whole divided by cosecant of A plus 1. Okay, so you should remember that instead of taking the LCM, you have to take cos A common out. So this is how, with more and more practice, as you do more and more questions, the way you have to do in order to get to this minus 1 and plus 1 and to get a cosecant A, you will definitely. So cosecant A is nothing but 1 over sine. Cosecant is 1 over sine. You don't even need a cos in the RHS. So we just take out common and we remove this cos term from the numerator and denominator. So all of these steps, the way you have to approach a problem when you have to prove the trigonometric identities, this will become easier only if you practice. Okay, so please do this and see, pause the video and please do it in your mathematics notebook and try it yourself. Just write the question and look at the way I am doing once, pause the video and then do it yourself. In that way, you will be able to learn, and if you are revising these questions over and over again, automatically any kind of a question of this kind, if it comes, you'll be able to do it. Okay, so here cot and cos is given, cosecant is asked, so you have to just convert cot into cos and sine. Okay, that's what we have done. So I hope you understood. So you can write finally, this is equal to RHS and hence proved. Okay, because the question is prove, right? Prove that LHS is equal to RHS, the two terms. So you can finally end up by writing that this is equal to RHS. Let's move on to the next question. So show that secant to the power 4 theta minus secant square theta equal to tan to the power 4 theta plus tan square theta. Again, a very easy question. I will use two methods. Okay, I'll teach you two methods to do it. Okay, let's go with method 1. How can you write secant to the power 4 theta? I can write it as secant square theta the whole square minus secant square theta remains as it is. Right? What do I need now? I need RHS, I need tan. So how can I convert secant to tan? I just told you secant square theta equal to 1 plus tan square theta. So I'll just write, instead of secant square, I'm going to replace it with 1 plus tan square theta the whole square minus, again secant square, I'll write it as 1 plus tan square theta. Open the bracket of the first term using a plus b the whole square. It is a square plus b square. So what is tan square theta? Okay, let me write tan square theta the whole square. This is b square plus 2ab. That is 2 into 1 into b is nothing but tan square theta. Okay, and then minus into 1 minus 1 minus into plus is minus tan square theta. This is the second term. Okay, so here what do you get? 1 plus tan square theta the whole square is tan to the power 4 theta, right? Plus 2 tan square theta minus 1 minus tan square theta. These are like terms. Okay, plus 1 and minus 1 gets cancelled. So what remains is nothing but tan to the power 4 theta. What is 2 tan square theta minus tan square theta? 2 minus 1 is just 1. So this is nothing but just tan square theta, and this is your RHS. This is your first method. Okay. Let me show you another method to do it. So you can choose any method. If you know the identities, you can choose any method, whichever is comfortable. Okay. Let me write what is the very first part, right? Secant to the power 4 theta, the LHS. This is all your, whatever I am taking is your LHS, right? So secant to the power 4 theta minus secant square theta, right? Here I can take secant square theta common. Secant square theta common. So what will remain inside? The first term will be secant square theta minus 1, right? Now, what is the secant square theta? I can write it as 1 plus tan square theta. Inside also, instead of secant square, I'll replace it with 1 plus tan, because in the RHS, I only need tan square. Okay, I only need tan theta, right? Minus 1. Plus 1 minus 1 gets cancelled. So this is nothing but just multiply. This is nothing but 1 plus tan square theta multiplied by tan square theta. This is just a product. So just multiply it inside. 1 into tan square is tan square theta plus tan square into tan square is nothing but tan to the power 4 theta. This is equal to your RHS. Hence proved. So you can choose any method. Okay, but ultimately you'll have to convert secant into tan. Okay, and for that you use the identity secant square equal to 1 plus tan square theta. Quite easy, very, very easy, but only provided you have learnt the identities and you have practiced a lot of questions. Let's move on to the next one. Yes. If sine theta plus cos theta is equal to root 3, then prove that tan theta plus cot theta equal to 1. What is given here? You are given solution. Sine theta plus cos theta is equal to root 3. Okay. We cannot just use tan theta plus cos theta, but we can square both the sides. Okay, sine plus cos, we don't know any identity which, but we know sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. So the very first thing that we can do is squaring both the sides. Okay, squaring both sides. So when we square both sides, what does it become? Sine theta plus cos theta, the whole square is equal to root 3 the whole square. Now let's expand this using a plus b the whole square, which is a square plus b square plus 2ab. So you get sine square theta, a square, b square is cos square theta plus 2ab. 2 sine theta cos theta is equal to root 3 the whole square, which is 3. So we know sine square plus cos square is equal to 1, right? So 1 plus 2 sine theta cos theta is equal to 3. So this plus 1 will go to the other side RHS. It will become 3 minus 1. Okay, so 2 sine theta cos theta is equal to 3 minus 1, which is 2. So sine theta cos theta is equal to 2 by 2, or you can just cancel 2 by 2, which is 1. Correct? Now let us take the LHS. You have to prove tan theta plus cot theta is equal to 1. Okay. Now you can take the LHS here. Okay. This is based on what was given. Okay. This was given information. Now based on what you have to prove, let's take the LHS. That is tan theta plus cot theta. So take the LHS of what you have to prove. So tan theta plus cot theta will be equal to, you have to convert it in the form of sine and cos. So sine by cos is tan. Cot is nothing but cos theta by sine theta. Take the LCM. Cos and sine, the LCM is sine theta cos theta. So numerator will have sine square theta. See here. Cos theta multiplied by what will give you sine theta cos theta? It is nothing but sine theta. This sine theta you have to multiply it with the numerator. So sine square theta. Similarly, here the second term is sine theta multiplied by what will give you sine theta cos theta? It is cos theta. So cos theta into cos theta. will be cos square theta. So plus cos square theta. Right? Okay. Now this is equal to, what is sine square plus cos square? We know it's 1. What is sine theta cos theta? So probably you can write this as equation 1. So from equation 1, we know sine theta cos theta is equal to 1. And 1 by 1 is equal to 1. Is equal to RHS. Hence proved. Okay. So this is how you have to do. First of all, based on what is given, we have evaluated it. We have squared both the sides, used a plus b the whole square, expanded it, and we have got sine theta cos theta, beyond which we will not be able to solve. So we just stop till the step where we can do and then get to where we have to prove. So take the LHS, convert everything to sine and cos, take the LCM, and then apply the sine theta cos theta that you got as 1 here, and you'll be getting your RHS. So this is quite a good question. It could be asked for a 2 mark or 3 marks. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Prove that 1 plus cot theta minus cosecant of A 1 plus cot A minus cosecant of A multiplied by 1 plus tan A plus secant of A is equal to 2. Let's take the LHS. Again, here also in the RHS we don't have any terms, right? And here you can see tan, cot, cosecant, secant, everything. So whenever you see these multiple terms, you have to convert everything into sine and cos. So let's do that. So take your LHS. That is 1 plus cot A can be written as cos A by sin A. Minus, what is cosecant A? It is the reciprocal of sin A. Multiplied by 1 plus tan A is nothing but sin A by cos A. Plus secant A is 1 over cos A. Right? Take the LCM. Here the LCM is sin A. So the first numerator would be, let this be by 1. So 1 multiplied by what will give you sin A? It's just sin A. So sin A multiplied by 1 is sin A. So the first term will be sin A plus, again, sin A multiplied by what will give you sin A? It is just 1. This one you have to multiply it with the numerator. So it will be cos A minus 1 multiplied by, again here your LCM is just cos A. So the first term will be cos A plus sin A plus 1. Okay. So here it is just a product. So I can write it as sin A plus cos A minus 1 multiplied by sin A plus cos A minus plus 1 whole divided by sin A into cos A. Right? So this can be expanded. So this is nothing but, you can see this. This is A minus B into A plus B. So what is A here? So let me write it. So this is nothing but, you can put this in the bracket. This is A minus B and A plus B. So what is A minus B into A plus B? It's A square minus B square. So I can write it as sin A plus cos A the whole square minus 1 square. A square minus B square. Okay, whole divided by, the denominator term will be sin A cos A. You have to prove it equal to 2. Now let us open the brackets. Use A plus B the whole square. So what is A plus B the whole square? A square plus B square plus 2AB minus 1 whole divided by sin A cos A. So what is sin square plus cos square A? Sin square plus cos square is just 1. So 1 plus 2 sin A cos A minus 1 divided by sin A cos A. So by now you should be seeing us arriving to the answer. Plus 1 minus 1 gets cancelled. What remains is 2 sin A cos A divided by sin A cos A. All of these terms gets cancelled. Sin A, cos A gets cancelled. What remains is just 2. And that is your RHS, hence proved. So very good question. In fact, please do try to solve it yourself. Okay, so just convert everything into sine and cos and then apply the formula. Just group it in a way that you are able to form a plus b into a minus b, which is equal to a square minus b square. Right? So write all the steps very carefully and then finally you will get the final answer as 2. Okay, so that's all. Very, very easy question again. Let's move on to the sixth question for the day. Prove that sine to the power 6 theta plus cos to the power 6 theta plus 3 sine square cos square is equal to 1. Again, what is it that we know? We don't know any expression related to this, right? So let's start with what we know. So we know that sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Now, this is the only identity that we know of sine and cos. Now, what should I do to sine square and cos square in order to get sine to the power 6 theta is what you have to think. So, you have to take cube on both the sides. Okay, taking cube on both sides. So, what do you have? Sine square theta plus cos square theta, the whole cube is equal to 1 cube, which is 1. Okay, now what is a plus b the whole cube? What is a plus b the whole cube? A plus b the whole cube is equal to a cube plus b cube plus 3ab into a plus b. Correct? So just apply it. Here your a is nothing but sine square theta and b is nothing but cos square theta. So when you expand it, what do you get? Sine square theta, the whole cube plus cos square theta, the whole cube plus 3 sine square theta cos square theta multiplied by sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. So this would become sine to the power 6 theta plus cos to the power 6 theta plus 3 sine square theta cos square theta is equal to just 1, because this sine square plus cos square, this value is equal to just 1. Okay, so what is it that you are asked? You have to prove that sine to the power 6 theta plus cos to the power 6 theta plus 3 sine square cos square equal to 1, and that's exactly what you have proved. So you can write hence proved. Hence proved. Okay. Hope you understood. Just make sure you remember these identities, a plus b the whole cube. Let's move on to the next question. You have to prove that sine divided by 1 minus cos theta equal to cosecant theta plus cot theta. Again, very easy. Whenever you have given cosecant, what is cosecant equal to? 1 over sine. What is cot equal to? Cos over sine. Right? So let us take the rational, you have to rationalize the denominator in this particular case. So when you take your LHS, sine theta by, see, what you need is sine theta in the denominator, but you have 1 minus cos theta. So in order to make it 1 minus cos square theta, you have to rationalize the denominator. So sine theta divided by 1 minus cos theta. How do you rationalize the denominator? Multiply numerator and denominator by the reciprocal of this. That is, you have to do a sign change, right? So 1 plus, you have to multiply numerator and denominator by 1 plus cos theta by 1 plus cos theta. Okay, so this will become sine theta multiplied by 1 plus cos theta whole divided by a plus b into a minus b. It's a square minus b square. So what is 1 minus cos square theta? It is sine square theta. So numerator will remain as it is, multiplied by 1 plus cos theta whole divided by 1 minus cos square. You will remove cos and write in terms of sine, which is sine square theta. Again, one sign will get cancelled, the other sign remains. Okay, and what remains is nothing but 1 plus cos theta divided by sin theta remains. You have to split the denominator among the two terms in the numerator. So this is nothing but 1 by sin theta plus cos by sin. So what is 1 by sin? It is cosecant of theta. Cosecant theta plus cot theta. This is equal to your RHS. Hence proved. So with respect to trigonometry, what I would say is the more you practice, you have to do a lot of questions in order to even, be able to understand how should you approach a question. Now, each question is different, right? See, you should know what you need to prove. You need to prove you need to prove something wherein you have sign in the denominator. So here you will get a sign in the denominator only if you are able to transform it into 1 minus cos square, which is equal to sin square. So what should you do? You have to rationalize the denominator. What do you mean by rationalizing the denominator? Whatever sign is seen, just take the opposite sign. If it was 1 plus cos theta, then you have to multiply numerator and denominator with 1 minus cos theta. If it is 1 minus cos theta, then you'll have to multiply numerator and denominator by the reciprocal of it. That is, change the sign and multiply. So 1 plus cos theta. And then just solve it and always keep in mind what you have to prove. Okay. See, you need 1 plus cos. So the minute you see 1 plus cos, make sure you don't change it. Right? And then go on simplifying, and then you will finally get. So these questions are very, very easy. Just try it once, and I hope it was useful. Let's continue practicing many more questions from this chapter. Happy learning. Take care. See you all in the next video. Thank you so much, and please do not forget to subscribe.